What's going on? This is Michael Barayev with Spitting Fire, and we are back with my boy E Moneybags. And as you guys know, every single week we're going to be coming through. Hopefully Eric can commit to this. I don't know who's going to be committing to this or not, but I am willing to do this every single week and give you guys some spitting fire information. And as you guys know, we speak the truth and nothing but the
truth.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know what's crazy? You know what motivated me to do this again? One person actually that follows our content messaged me and said, "Hey Mike, I love this content, I love the spitting fire stuff." And he's like, "How come you stopped doing it?" And I was like, you know what? I don't really have a good answer to that. And I was like,
You ran out of content.
No, dude, I have a lot of content. Just the thing was this, I was like, I'm a very committed and consistent individual. I can kind of stay with something for a long time. Like I've been in the gym for 13, 14 years, and I'm very consistent with that, right? But like, how can we stop? I have no idea. But the pandemic, the this, the that, the changes from New York to Miami, a lot of different shifts happened in the past 2 years.
A lot of shifts, but you know.
A lot of shifts. But we're back, baby. It's good to be back. I love it. So today's topic is about what?
I wanted to talk a little bit about intuition, following your gut. You know, in business, I think a lot of times people try to make calculated, methodical, strategic moves. They're looking at numbers all day long. But I think, really the best decisions and the hardest decisions sometimes come from your gut and from your intuition, things that you can't always fully explain or you don't know where it comes from. So I just wanted to touch on that.
100%.
Your
I mean,
take,
the gut feeling, bro. That's a powerful thing. At the end of the day, like I always make a lot of my decisions based on factual information, but sometimes you have to look at the information from a different angle, right? And you have to have your gut never lies to you. I don't know if you ever felt that way, but like your gut, every decision I've ever made that I went against my gut has always been like,
Well, let me ask you this then. What is it when you say like it comes from the gut? Because I know the feeling that I get. It's like a little pain in my stomach. Just kidding. But when you feel something in your gut, what does that feel like?
That feeling, it's kind of like, it's like a spider tingly senses. It's hard to explain the feeling because it's just something in your body and in your mind. Like something tells you something is off. Like, right, our bodies and our minds are very powerful. We're very powerful creatures, right? We're able to dissect a human patterns. And like, for example, if right now, I'm just thinking about certain patterns, like you think about, like, trying to think of a good example, but like we can tell when someone's lying to us, right? You could tell there's something off with that individual. Like, for example, someone comes in every single day at a specific time at 9 o'clock in the morning. Every single day they come in at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Like one of our guys today. He's always on time. He's always picking up his phone. All of a sudden I call him once, he doesn't answer. I'm like, okay, it's off, whatever, happens. Usually you call back within a few minutes. 2 hours pass by, I call him again, no answer. I'm like, oh, interesting. And then I call his closest friend. I'm like, yo, you know where he's at? He's like, no, I don't know where he's at. I've been looking for him too. So now that my gut feeling automatically told me that something freaking happened. And I knew this before I even called. And I'm telling you, we don't have the answer yet, but I know something happened, 100%.
The gut feeling is when your body knows something before your mind does.
That could be it.
And your body is able to sense it, but it's not yet in your thoughts. You haven't thought about it yet. But your body has figured it out, but your mind hasn't caught up to your body yet. So it's your body basically signaling to your brain, hey, something's going on, or hey, this is going on, and you have to kind of be sensitive to that. And then sometimes your brain doesn't agree. Sometimes your brain says, no, this is this, this is, I believe based on this information, reason, logic, whatever, looking at the numbers, that this is the case, but your body's saying, no, this is how you should feel, this is how you should think, and they clash sometimes, but usually when all the information presents itself, usually your gut is the one that ends up being correct. So
the gut somehow
why
knows.
Why do we go against our gut when we know usually
I know what it is, because a lot of times people utilize their brain to make decisions instead of utilizing other resources out there. For example, I'm reading a book right now, it's called Think Smarter. Okay, it's a good book about critical thinking, and it talks about how you have to actually make decisions. Like, how do people make decisions? How do they make choices, right? And a lot of times, our subconscious mind makes a lot of automatic decisions by default. Like, there's a study, if you actually look at some of these, I don't know if you've ever seen those like paragraphs where the words are kind of misconjumbled, and you can still read it. Because the subconscious mind, there's an automatic process where it starts to jumble the letters and kind of figure it out for you. It's not conscious, it's subconscious. So you can still read it because your subconscious mind is automatically understanding and breaking down and dissecting that information. But when you're thinking critically, critical thinking is not a subconscious think, right? Critical thinking is a conscious think. You have to think consciously, right? You have to put time into it. And the first thing you have to do is have clarity. And a lot of times when you don't have the clarity, but your body has the clarity, your gut feeling is like, hey, I have clarity on something. Something is not 100% right with here. but your automatic mind is not catching it, and boom, it clashes like you just said.
The way I look at it is it's like an iceberg, right? Most of the iceberg is underwater. Only the tip of the iceberg is visual. So I think of like our conscious mind as the tip of the iceberg, where it's what we can physically see or hear or smell, and it's what our brain usually runs off of when we're living our day-to-day life to make decisions and everything. But our subconscious mind and our body, that part of the iceberg that's hidden under the water, has a lot of really good information. You know, it's the bulk of actually what our bodies are doing on the day-to-day. But because you can't see it, hear it, feel it physically, we don't believe it yet until it presents itself, and then you're like, oh wow, like, you know, the water lowers down a little bit and everything shows itself, and you're like, all right, yeah, I should have listened to my gut.
100%. And I mean, we made some bad decisions with listening to our brains instead of our gut. And I have a couple of them. I have a list of them, right? And I also learned that when you make choices, when you make decisions, when you make all these different things, you know, a lot of this information, a lot of this stuff, there's a sixth sense. Like we have 5 senses, right? You have smell, touch, taste, hear, and see, right? Those are the 5 sense gates. If I missed anyone, please let me know in the comments, right? But that's what I think they are, right? The sixth one, there's a sixth sense, right? Number 6.
Kinesthetics, sorry.
No, but it could be, right? But the sixth sense is the infinite intelligence. And if you read the book Think and Grow Rich, you probably read that book, right? It talks about what? Infinite intelligence, right? The infinite intelligence is the intelligence of the whole world, the whole universe. It's pretty much connected to God, right? God has all, God has everything, God has all the information, right? Whether or not you believe in that, that's your opinion. But at the end of the day, that's pretty much what's out there, right? You have God or a superpower, whatever you want to call it, right? And that energy, it has all the answers. It's like it's everything, right? And when you attach yourself to it, somehow, some way, consciously, you cannot understand it. Like, there's no comprehension of us understanding God. Like, you can't, like, even by thinking about it, like, it's like, it makes no sense. It's like a person being in a 2D world trying to understand a 3D world. Like, we're in a 3D world. We understand it. But a person, let's say, who was in a 2D world would never understand 3D. It just doesn't make any sense to it, right? So we're in a 3D world, and there's 10 dimensions, and that's like with all the information in the universe. And when you have that sixth sense and you're connected to it on a spiritual level, you have that gut feeling telling you, hey, something is up, and that's where your intuition kicks in.
Everybody have a gut, and is their gut all telling them the right information, or are there times when your gut's wrong?
I mean, can I be honest with you? The more pure you are as an individual, the more holy you are as an individual, the cleaner your body is and your mind is, the better that information. So there's a lot of people that have made decisions based on their gut, and in my opinion, they made wrong choices because there was a lot of impurities in that individual. Now, who am I to say this? This is my opinion. It's what I think. It's how I process information. But I feel like the more good you do in the world, the more cleaner you are in the world, the less impurities you have, the more clear that connection can be, and you can connect to the infinite intelligence and actually have, good intuition and make great decisions.
I believe that you can kind of sense and feel things that aren't in your physical surroundings.
Yes.
So, like, for instance, like if you go out on a date with someone, and then you separate, and that person goes home, and you go home. I can usually sense. I'm like, all right, she's thinking about me.
Yes.
She's into me, or that date didn't really go well. She's probably thinking about something else. She's probably thinking these thoughts about me versus these. I can almost usually sense and feel intuitively with my gut
100%.
if that person's thinking about 100%. Me or not.
My brother
that plays a huge role, obviously, in what we do, because obviously when it comes to working with customers, you have to kind of feel what they're thinking.
Think about customers. Think about business owners, salespeople.
Even like when it comes to team building, like when people go home for the day or people are out there in the field, like I have to feel intuitively what's going on. Are they feeling amazing right now? Are they feeling down? And sometimes I'll just get this feeling like somebody's down right now. Like something's going on with someone, and I got to call them. Or
1,000%.
I might be the opposite. I'm like, wow, I could tell this person's fired up and ready to go, and maybe I have to call them for a different reason.
My brothers had that. They actually know, like this. It's so weird. They know what's going on with each other half the time. It's crazy. And they're twins, right? So they kind of like feel each other. They kind of sense things. It's crazy, and they're always on point. I'm like, damn, it's so weird. They can feel each other sometimes.
If I pinch David, will Daniel feel it?
I mean, I don't know if that's how crazy that would be, but a possibility, right? But intuition is important, and I think that the more critical thinking you have, it helps your intuition. The more clarity you have, right? And the more you remove all those impurities, and doing bad activities like smoking, drinking, it clouds your stuff. The reason why I stay away from drugs is not only because I want to be different and I don't want to affect my health, but I also want to be cleaner. I want to be clearer, right? I want to have that connection with God and not be, confused with all these impurities. You know what I mean? Because it does slow you down, man. Weed, drugs, coke, all that stuff, man. It boggles you down and it kills your intuition. It really does.
I would also say, if I had to add some advice, is you have to be a little introspective, right? You got to take some time. I like to create a lot of mental space and silence, not necessarily to meditate per se, but it's kind of my own form of meditation where I kind of look inward and I sense, what's going on internally, but my body also tells me what it thinks is going on externally, and I use that information to guide me. And it's not always right. Sometimes I go against my gut, but sometimes I do it on purpose just because I feel like I can fight through some thoughts. But other times I listen to it, and a lot of times it turns out right. So just, I think, when I say be introspective, it means take some time to just sit in silence or drive in silence or take a long walk and just
be self-aware.
Just be self-aware, but also walk through, some of the things that's happened that day or that week, the conversations you've had, the emotions you felt, the things that you felt from other people, and then be sensitive to what the world's telling you.
Absolutely. And you just got to put your senses out there, just feel things, And I would play a game with yourself, just kind of like try to guess. I love guessing with like what's going to happen. I like making assumptions, see if I'm good, and see what your intuition tells you, your gut tells you. Kind of like, okay, I knew that was going to happen. Kind of write it down and look at yourself. Oh shit, I was right.
It's funny. My gut told me I was hungry earlier.
Yeah.
So I ate and it was right.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Right. So you have to have the right intuition. I mean, intuition is a very important. I don't want to say it's a skill. I don't think it's something you can. It's so hard to say. You can't really build it. Can you build intuition? I mean, I'm not really sure you can build it, but you can definitely.
You just have to be. I think
you can definitely work on it.
You could just be more or less sensitive to it.
Yes. I think everyone does have intuition. Just having that sensitive kind of gauge. It's important. I mean, listen. If you want to build a sales team, you want to build any kind of team, a business, you're dealing with customers, you have to figure out your intuition. It's gonna help you a lot. Okay, it's gonna help you a lot. So hopefully you guys got some value from this episode today. It's all about the intuition. There's actually a law of intuition that John Maxwell talks about in a leadership book. I forget which one it was. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I believe, right? It's one of those books, by the way. So we appreciate you guys. Throw some love in the comments and the likes. We'll see you guys in the next video.